Alright, so we have obviously two broken legs on the Fimi X8 SE 2020. Okay, so we have all the screws out of the top, and just want to make sure you know that this and this are separate pieces. We're going to flip it over. Now we're going to take these four screws out here, and then I think, yeah, just two up there. Okay, so this one here, when I turn it, I can already tell. Now this drone was obviously crashed and it was sent to me to repair, but this one here I can tell the screw's not unscrewing. The plastic piece that it is screwed into, I feel like that is broken, and I'll be able to know as soon as I lift it up. Alright, so let's go ahead and lift this off. So yeah, this one is not like here. I made sure I have the 2018 version with me because it's the one that has the ribbon cable. So here's the difference. This is the 2018, this is the 2020. So your sensors are attached here with the fan. We have no fan in this model. And I know the first question everybody's going to ask, can we add the fan to it? I don't know. I don't think so. I wouldn't worry about adding a fan to it. But you have a ribbon cable that connected to this one, which made this very hard. So the 2020, I'm sorry, I forgot, you have no ribbon cable to contend with. So that's nice. That made it a little simpler. So let's put that aside. And then what we have, the worst thing about the Fimis is this white goo, the electronic silicone that they use. I don't know what type they use, but it's the hardest I have ever had to contend with. So there's a lot of tug of war with that. But the other thing, this is all glued down. The other thing is your antennas. Your antenna plug-in point is in a different location. So I tell you what, we'll save that for when we actually get to it. But I'm just going to loosen these up so I can put them out of the way. They all glue down. They're all sticky double-sided tape right there. So we're just putting these kind of off to the side. This is the side we're contending with, so we got to get all this glue off, and this is where it takes a long time. And then I'll just tell you what I do. I have now if you've watched any of my repair videos, I had a crappy pair of tweezers. I have a full set here now of some pretty decent tweezers. The best pair I've found so far are very sharp, and you can see right here, they do cut you. So what I do is I cut between every wire with my X-Acto knife, and then it's just plucking and plucking and plucking. This portion of the video right here will take me, I guarantee you it's going to take me over a half an hour, but I'm just going to show you. You don't want to hit any of these components, so you want to be careful. There is nothing to worry about damaging in between these wires. So you want to come at it from this side and just cut some scores into this tape, or I'm sorry, into the silicone. And the silicone I use, it's just as effective, but it comes off much easier when you need to get it off. So I've scored that. I can feel the board underneath. And now I'm going to score this one. You can see I'm going underneath this heat tape here, but I'm not hitting the component. Okay, so let's go ahead and focus on this beginning portion, and then after that I'm going to fast forward because you don't want to sit through this and watch me go through it. You can heat this up, you can do what you want. It's really no easier. It's basically you just gotta keep plucking away at it. And you want to get all of it off. You don't want to be soldering with this stuff on. It's going to mess up your solder joint. It smells terrible. So just got to keep plucking away at it. Little bits come off. Sometimes nice big chunks come off, but there's just nothing fun about it. Okay, so you can see I've got most everything off. Some of it just won't come off, and I mean, you can sit here and go at it all day long. So the best thing to do is just get as much of it as you can off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove all the solder from this board, or try to, and start fresh. That way I can get a nice smooth surface, get rid of all this solder, and I'll show you how I do that. But for now, let's go ahead and just get these wires all undone. And then it's a good idea, if you want, take a picture, but the board is marked B, R, and Y, and then Y, R, and B. It's all marked. I would still recommend taking a picture just in case you scratch any of that stuff off. So take a picture of your wires, how they go, and then that way you can refer to that when you go back to it. So let's go ahead and start with this back leg. And this is gonna stink because this stuff just reeks. And I don't like to get it on the tip of my soldering iron, but it is what it is. And that, having that silicone, it just doesn't want to let the solder come off. But we have to get it all off. Got to make this nice and clean for when I redo it. There we go. Come on, baby. There we go. Now I could easily have cut these cables and then taken it off, but it's much easier to sit here with the tweezers and have something to hold on to. Okay. Just got some of the stuff off with that. Got a nice clean one here. So it should come off now. Okay. Now we got this black. And there we go. And they'll be easier to clean without the wires on them, but I think I might feel better if I take the solder off. We'll see when we get to that point. Let's move on down here now. I wish you could smell this right now, but if you ever have to do this repair, you'll smell it. Trust me. Okay. Two to go. So, I mean, it's easy access to get to these wires. That's the good thing. But it's not easy to get that white silicone off. And when we get back to putting it together, I'll show you what I use. Okay, so that's clean. Let's put that away. And I could slide this guy out now. Just sliding it out because it's broken. It doesn't matter. And let's put that aside. And then this one here, we're gonna wait until we take this apart. So let's go ahead and open this part up here. It just comes right off since we've unscrewed it. Again, always look to make sure there's no wires. For the top there are none, but you never know what changes they make. So there's nothing underneath there. And this bad boy, when it crashed, has been through hell. Everything's off. This is out of sort. It's supposed to be over here like that. Not that it hurts anything, but that's how it's supposed to be. Okay, so we have that top off. And always inspect, make sure nothing is broken. So we're good there. And we're gonna take this joint out right here. And again, remember, this one is much different. There's 2 screws underneath here to get to, but I just want to get rid of some of these, get the legs off so they're out of the way and not messing me up. That's spring loaded, so as soon as you take it off, it pops. And I'm going to pull these wires through. There we go. You have that. Make sure I'm at the right part. Let me get my tweezers. And it's the small one, which is in, the way the wires are crisscrossed really makes it confusing. There we go. It's in the front. It's this one right here. Be careful with the glue. And I'm going to pull it through the bottom. There it is, and we can slide this all out now. So there we are. And this video, you know, once I get this back leg on, I'm going to pause it because they messed up my order and I still do not have the front leg. And I would have liked to have used the one from the 2018, but it's cracked. So there is no other difference between these legs. They are exactly the same. There is absolutely no difference. It's just the antenna. So I can't use that. And where were we? Okay, so we're going to do this. We've got to get this bottom plate off. This bottom plate right here has to come off. You have 2 more screws that are up underneath this board. So you want to be really careful. And let's undo this. Take this black tape off. Put it aside. And then we're going to flip up this little black tab. Be very careful. It's hard to see. Little black tabs on these plugs. You want to flip that up. Then you're going to slide your ribbon cable out. Just like that. And then we have the gimbal cable here. Right here. We're going to unplug it. Carefully. Just kind of push it out of the way. We don't want to be damaging that. And then we have this plug here. Let's get the glue and put that out of the way. Now let's see if we can get it tilted upward now. Look underneath and see what's holding this up. There is this cable here. And it's just glued. There's some glue underneath here, a little glue tab, so we're clear. We have enough cable. and now I can see the screw. So hopefully you can see it. I'm going to tilt you. Now you can see it. That screw is right here. Okay, so we're going to undo that screw. The 2020 is actually easier than the 2018 was. The 2018 had multiple boards, not just one big board. So that does make it nicer. That's not magnetized. Now we want to get to the other side. So we're going to just kind of bring it over like this. See it right there? And that will get us free. And all your screws are pretty much the same size. You can keep them separately however you do that. The other thing you want to watch out for is you got little rubber grommets here that will fall out. You want to make sure that they're in place when you put everything back together. But I'm going to slide the board kinda in place. It's not exactly how it should go, but just enough. And these boards are all coated, so it's safe to touch them without gloves. So let's take this off. And then underneath, again, you want to be careful because we have ribbon cable. So all I really want to do is, if I can, I just want to get to this, and it's not going to let me. So we need to look at that ribbon cable. It's right here. Comes all the way up here. And we're going to have to unhook it. You don't want to unhook it from the GPS because, you don't want to unhook this cable here from the GPS because good luck getting it back in place. So it runs all the way up. You can see it. It's a black cable right here. It runs all the way up. And it plugs in right here. So let's flip that up. Like that. And then slide it out. Just like that. Okay. Make sure it's not taped down, which I think it is. So we want to get it unstuck. There. And then she comes out. There it is. So that's what you want to be really careful of. All that ribbon cable is what you can really mess up. And then you're going to have to wait a long time to get those parts. So everything else is clear. Flip it back over. I'm holding the board underneath, and we're going to take that, take that joint off. And then you'll notice that these are spring loaded when you pop them loose. So no damage to any of these joints. We're in good shape there. That's the broken part. We're in good shape there. The only other damage, let's check these other legs just to make sure. I do feel a little bit of dirt and grit in there. But the only other damage to this quad is this screw point right here. So if you remember when I was taking it apart, oh man, that wouldn't come undone. And it still doesn't want to. was because the plastic broke. So that's broken. So there's going to be one screw that is not holding this thing together well, and that's because it broke off right here. So there's always things I can do. I can use a different type of screw, and I can actually drill a tiny hole here, and I can let it thread right into it. So that's what I'll do to repair that. So now we are going to clean up this solder here. So let me get what I need for that. So let's see if we can just put our screwdriver like this. Get the soldering iron. And let's see if we can get something to suck up out of there. It may or may not. I might have to put some flux on it. Okay, so I have them all cleaned up. I didn't get every bit of solder off, but got a lot of it out of there, a lot of the junk. So now we're just going to put a little bit of new solder in place. So when we get the new wires on, we'll have a nice new puddle. Plus this, the other thing I wanted to point out is this waterproofing or whatever they put on there. It messes you up as well. Everything gets mixed in. So that's something you definitely want to go and clean out. Nice puddles. This one's already got enough, it looks like. There we go. So I think you should be able to see we have some decent puddles there. Nice soldering points, nice and easy. So we're good with that. I'm happy with that. Make things a lot nicer when it comes to doing the new wires. Okay, so I can take that out now. Oops, get that soldering or flux out of the way. All right, so we've got the new back leg right here. And let's just focus on that right now. Make sure that's what yeah, that's the right one. So there's already solder on the tips of all these, a little bit from the factory, but we're going to slide this up in place, put our wire in the track like that, and just kind of hold your finger over it. This is where your tweezers also come in handy. It's tough to show you. We want to get in this groove right here. You see how we are right here? That's all we want to do. So we are going to just go down through there one at a time. Whatever falls in there, we'll get it in there. Okay, got it. All right, so now we have all our wire in. Remember, hold it in track like that so it goes in and doesn't. There we go. So all I want to focus on right now is I just want to get that joint secure, and then we'll go and push the wire up into the hole here and solder to the board. But I want to get that joint locked in. So let's get her turned around this way. And I'm going to put the arm exactly how it would be if it's all the way open. And I want it to be the other way. Yeah. And keep my wire out of the way. And I don't have the tool that I should have. So let's see what we have here. Let's try these guys. We are going to turn this. Remember, it's spring loaded. Let's go ahead and have a screw ready. Okay. And we're going to turn this and get our screw in or started. And there we go. Tighten it down, and then you just want to look on the other side and see that the pin has gone through, that it's not in there crooked. Okay, so we are in. And you just want to check it. It feels good. And let's put this wires down through here. And go back to the board. So now that we've done this, your best opportunity to get all that ribbon, cable, and everything back in place is right now before you solder this. So let's get that done, and then we'll focus on the other arm. So here we are. Let's just go ahead and push it through that little slit. And we'll get this cover fully put in place. Make sure we're not bound up. Okay. Lay it down. Tell you what, let's screw that cover on so we're done dealing with that. And remember, it's an Allen screw, and I'm not magnetized on my Allen screws. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a magnetized screwdriver, get it in place, and then use my Allen screw. So let's drop it down in the hole. Right there. And put my Allen screw on it, or Allen wrench on it, and then bring this up in place and start tightening it. Just get a few threads started. Don't tighten it all the way yet until you get everything lined up and snapped in place. Okay. Move it off to the side. And let's get another one. Take my magnetized screwdriver, drop it down in that hole. And then take the Allen wrench and tighten them up. Don't over tighten, just snug it up good and snug. Okay, everything is tight. Boy, this quad is dirty. All right, so that's in. Now we need to get that cable up here. So I know it's very hard to see, but just remember that black flex cable underneath. We need to get it up through that slot, and I can't even see myself, so bear with me. Tweezers are your best friend. I would love to just make it so I can let you guys see everything. But hopefully you get the idea here. Coming up through. Grab it with my finger. I'm not going to worry about sticking it or anything. The biggest thing is I just want to get this sucker plugged in. So let's make sure that black tab is up. Get it started in the slits in the socket. I'm never a fan of these because they're never easy. That's why I don't work on cell phones anymore. Come on. You'll see on the cable it has a line, little dots in a line. And when those are all straight across, you know you're in. And then I'll lock it in place and slide it. You tilt that black piece down and it locks. And then we'll just kind of make sure we're in. Yep. So if you remember, we also had a little piece of tape on that. Rubber tape. Put that back. So we are going to look underneath and make sure that the ribbon cable is secure. Back down. It was taped and it's in place. Right where my finger is. This other one's in the way. See it? It's stuck right here on the corner. And that's all you need to do. This other one, I need to make sure that we get it stuck back to the body of the quad. Don't know if you can see it in this angle. See it right there? We're going to just take a screwdriver and push down. Whoa. I'm sorry guys, it's so hard to do this. I gotta stand up and look down through my light and camera. Just want to make sure it's stuck to the frame. And now put this down. And get our plug up through there. And we're good. Okay. So hopefully you could see that. I'm sorry, there's a lot to really pay attention to here myself. For you guys to be able to see it and me to record it, make sure I keep it on camera. It's all a lot to keep in mind. So I'm going to put all this back while I'm thinking about it because we're not going to be messing with that. It won't stick perfect, but just so it's in place is all that sticky stuff is for. All right, so we have our GPS module plugged back in here. Put the tape back on it, the rubber pad. It's all good. And then now, I don't know if you can see, but we have black. Yeah, see, I even scratched it off on here. So we have black, red, and yellow is how I think it was. So I'm going to have to go back and look to be sure, but I'm pretty sure it's black, red, yellow, just like you see over here. I think it's the same on this side. So I'll go back and check that on the video and get it all hooked up. Yeah, that's definitely black. These two I can't read real good, but it should be the opposite of that. And that one is red, black, yellow. So black, red, yellow there. And then it's going to be black, red, yellow there. Yeah, it's safe to say I've got it right. Let's just go for it. Then I'll double check the footage. So I'm going to tilt this up again, and I'm just going to hold it up like this because it's a little easier for me to get at it. All right, soldering iron. Tip is clean. And black wire first. See if we need to add any flux or not, I don't know. Find out. Okay. And we're secure. That's a good one. Get our red. That's a good one. Get our yellow. I don't like that one. Okay. All right, so that is done. Now we have the front leg. So I will try to edit this, everybody, to where it's not not so boring with me fumbling and going through all the paces. But the only other thing we need to put back in place right now, well, we don't have to do it right now, but we got to remember to put this ribbon cable back in here. So maybe once we get all this plugged in and everything, maybe we'll do that, but I want to make sure everything feels right. Yep, so far so good. Wires have enough room to move, so we're good on that leg. All right, so now we will focus on the front leg, and I am going to just take a break, clean up this stuff, and then we'll come back to putting on that leg, putting everything back together, and getting this all complete. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to slide the wire in this slot here, just like that side. So I'm going to flip it back over, and let's get down inside there. That went easy. I remember the last one, the back leg, I fought that a little bit. A little awkward. Trying to remember, every time I'm fumbling, it's because if you could see me with my setup right now, with the camera and the lighting, I can hardly see what I'm doing. Kind of working blind here. So let's pull all these wires through. There they are. And I want to keep them in the track. This track right here, make sure they're not sticking up. You want to make sure they fall down in that slot. And I just kind of hold my finger there and then just start it and bring it on through. And there they are. Let's just push them out of the way right now. The first thing I always want to do is I want to get this joint in. So you go to the full open position. Don't ever try to put the joint in halfway. So I basically just want to make sure that I'm in my full open position and I've got it pushed down enough to where the pin on the bottom of the spring, this pin right here, goes through the hole. And then I'm just going to simply take my tool here, and I can do two things. I can have a screwdriver with the screw ready on it already, but usually you can also turn it and then push it down by hand. So I'm going to push down on it now. Can't see. I'm not there. So let's go ahead and just get the screw started. You'll be able to see better that way too. Okay, we're lined up nice. Put the screw in. You want to make sure that at no time is that screw in a bind. Okay, we're there. Now I can push it down by hand. And you want to just see that that white portion is flush with your metal there. And I always just kind of push on it. And then check my pin, make sure it's in the hole. And then just, it should snap in place. So you're done there. So we can push these wires all down. I'm very excited to get this one done. This guy has waited so long. Let's hold off on this one right now. And let's focus on the long ones. Press them down through that hole. Going down the same hole here as this black one here. Which is probably easier if I pull that aside. Actually, I don't want to pull too far because that's the one plug I don't want to pull out. Come on. These are the moments where I should just pause the video or edit out. But also, you know, I want to give you a real life experience here too. And show you that not everything's real simple. Sometimes I make it look simple, sometimes I make it look hard. Okay, got it. Let's just pull them through. Once I get them through, then I can get this one here in, and then we can go back to the other side. Tweezers would probably work good here. Let's go that route. Yeah, look at that. There. So now we're back on this side. There's all our plugs. Pull them back up through here. And then if you notice, I don't have the heat shrink on here. So here we go. And I'm not going to heat it up as long as it's on there. That's all. It just needs to be on there to kind of glue back down like this. So I'm not going to heat shrink it. I notice on a lot of them they don't heat shrink them back, so they just use that as a protector. So we can start hooking things back up in the front here. I don't need to go underneath the board anymore. I just want to make sure that this ribbon cable's out. And soldering these three, I'm going to lift the board a little, but we can have things hooked up down here. So let's go ahead and just, let's get these little side plugs in. They're the hardest. And they barely make it. They don't give you much extra here. Not a lot of room for wiggle room, I guess you would call it. Okay, that one's on. And that one goes on this way. Okay, that one's on. Tuck the wires under on the back side there. Let's get this one out so I don't damage it. Get it plugged back in. You got to be very careful with this one. Never force this plug. Make sure it's all lined up. You'll feel it click into place when it's ready, when it's in the right position. And this is one that you definitely don't want to mess up. I may have to take it away from the camera because I can't see real good. Maybe if I tilt it and look at it at an angle. And these wires are so tiny to grab onto. And I have no fingernails. I'm making every excuse possible, guys. Okay, let's get up over there. Looks like I'm lined up, but I'm not. Too far. There, right there, I think. Yeah, this cable is no fun. Gotta get right behind that little metal piece right there. There we go. I don't know if you heard that click, but she's all clicked into place and we're good. So we're good with all our cables here. Everything's back in place. Those wires are underneath, and then this one's going to go on top, and then we're going to solder here. So let's get the soldering iron heated up here. And let's get this ready. I like to lift this up a little bit, just so I'm not too close to my frame here when I'm trying to solder. So just simply stick a screwdriver under there, and we'll start with the yellow, work my way to the front. So we'll start here, and just lines up. Just give you enough. Make sure the tip's nice here. Nice and shiny. Okay. Let's get her lined up. And hopefully all goes quickly and easily. Come on. Some days are good soldering days, some days aren't. Some days it just, I can solder and solder and solder, and then some days it just, I fight it. There we go. Okay, red. That's how it's supposed to go. Quick and easy. That's what she said. Okay. Put that away. So all our wires are in there. And then I'll push them through the front a little bit here. This is probably another good reason why you don't want to at least heat shrink it right in the beginning, because then you wouldn't be able to adjust the wires to pull them through like that. So it's still a little bit sticky here and will stick to it usually, but don't worry. If it doesn't fully stick right now, it will after this board heats up, because if you own a Fimi, you know this gets hot. Which they used to have a fan, as you recall. They used to have the fan here, and you know, earlier I said in the video, I said I don't think you can use that fan. I'm sure you could put a fan back in here, And most fans are 5 volts. All you got to do is find a 5-volt source, but you also have to be careful what that source is. You don't want to create any type of electronic interference with the fan if you hook it up to the wrong power source, and maybe see that interference into your video and such. So that's back on. Let's get this cable in, and you gotta make sure this is flipped up. Okay. This is where tweezers probably are your better option as well. Make sure that line is nice and parallel, and then lock her in. So I fold down that little black piece. I don't know if you can see it, and that locks it in place. Okay, so now we get our little sticky stuff back on it. I don't remember where all this sticky stuff went. I have one here. That one I already put back there. I gotta put one on that up there. I don't know if there was one here now that I'm thinking about it, but it's not gonna hurt. I'm not sure if there was anywhere else. I think that was it. Okay. Looks fine. Everything's in place. Everything's plugged in. So now I want to put my white silicone on here. And just cover these like they have. There you go. And you can put some back on these plugs if you like. Those plugs usually will just stay on perfectly fine, but let's go ahead and put a little more back on there. I don't usually ever put any glue back on those type of plugs. Just the soldered motor wires are the only place I usually return that. All right, so now let's go ahead and screw this board back down. Now, keep in mind you want to make sure that your rubber grommets are down underneath the motor. I've already checked. I've got some spares here, but that's these little rubber pieces here. You've got them down underneath the board. The other thing I grabbed that I wanted to show you guys that this does happen. Your little button. And that's always found on the side of the quad where your SD card goes. I just dropped it. It goes over here. That button will fall out easily. So you just want to make sure that those are all intact. And that the rubber pieces are under with the board. And I went and touched some silicone. Don't want to get that everywhere. Alright, so all the silicone is off of that. I just want to make sure it's not all sticky. But the board doesn't have any screws that hold it down into place. If you recall, these holes here are from when we screw the bottom on. This is what holds the board in place with these pads here. So just want to make sure that you still have this white pad on here. These will peel off a little bit, and you'll still see they are They're in place there. So yours may look different. It might peel off, might not. But only thing I want to do is I just want to make sure that this cable is relatively in this position, kind of close here. I don't want to get it caught here. So that's why I'm trying to pull it aside. Don't want your wires to go where any screws are going to poke through. So just so we're somewhat off to the side like that. But we will put this on the bottom. Like that. There we go. And get our screws. Let's start out with a Torx head here. These are Allen screws, but a number 6 Torx head fits as well. Enough to get them started is all I'm doing. Well, that's the broken one I gotta fix. Not sure I'll have it in the video, but if you recall, that one I need to fix. So maybe I will. It's not a big common problem that these have. And I like to get all my screws in and started before I start tightening things down. That way, all the holes line up properly. Okay, so these legs are in place. Everything springs nicely. Feels good. Everything looks fine. I just need to, what I'm going to have to do is drill into the plastic just a little bit, and then I'm going to have to find a screw that is longer and get it to thread into the plastic. So I don't know if I'm even going to worry about that because it's strong. It's like you can't always fix every single thing in a crash. So at least in this case, I don't think that's very important because the next screw is right here. So it's held here, here, and here. That's a pretty good plastic. I don't think it's going to be an issue, but I'll attempt to fix it. If not, it's really not a big deal. So now what I'm going to do is just get everything all cleaned up. We'll put a battery in it. We'll connect to it, make sure the motors are turning and spinning in the right direction. And then we'll be done with this repair on how to replace the back and front legs. Okay, so we are all connected. It's asking for a firmware update. I'm not going to update it, so we're going to skip that, enter device, and then we're going to power everything on. I didn't recharge everything, so hopefully we have enough battery power. And I did not check the gimbal. There we go. Gimbal's moving. All right, so gimbal calibrated. Startup calibration. We want to make sure everything appears normal. Our lights are working. We have FPV, gimbal not ready. Unable to enter GPS mode. That's because we're indoors. And it's saying gimbal not ready. There we go. Now the gimbal just finally finished. All right, so everything looks good. We don't have any other messages except for unable to enter GPS mode. If you can see that, sorry, the lights are here. That might be better. So that's the only message we have. And then our motors are going in the right direction. You want to see that one go that way, this one go that way, and we didn't mess with those. Okay, so we're going that way. And then this one going that way. Okay. So next I just need to test fly it for the guy and I can send it back and call this one done. But this video is to show you how to replace rear and front legs all in one. But hopefully you do not need this video, but for those of you who do, hopefully this makes it a lot easier for you. It is not a hard job to do on the Fimi X8 SE 2020. The Fimi X8 SE 2018 and 2019 are a little harder because you have multiple boards inside. 2020 has one single board inside. They've made it a little simpler. That means less ribbon cables, so it's a lot simpler. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you everybody for watching, and as always, hit that thumbs up on your way out. If you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe and hit that bell for future content notification, and we'll catch you on the next videos. Thank you. Take care.